On this, from the onset, I am saying that, Madam Speaker, the National Assembly's Bill number 10 of 2024, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill 2024, I will only support on the condition that we do amendments. This bill, I know, is part of the larger proposed bills by the NADCO, Madam Speaker, and it is unfortunate that it didn't come out as some of us expected. And you know, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, you know, if they had allowed me to present my Solomonic wisdom in the NADCO process, Madam Speaker, we would have a better version. But now that it lacks some wisdom, I want to inject it briefly. So the Solomonico-Italian wisdom, Madam Speaker, and say a few things. One is that we should not be reactive to issues of elections and electoral laws. We have amended electoral laws until we have lost, Madam Speaker. You know, when we were growing up, Madam Speaker, for some of us who are at the bottom, you would wear a short until you get at your behind, Madam Speaker, two things like looks that torches. And your parents will do something on it, will patch it up. Some of us who grew up in village primary school, that short would be patched up until you cannot get the color of the short that initially was. This is what we have done to the electoral laws in this country. We always do it with the convenience of what we believe should be right. Madam Speaker, we should also avoid, we have all this country at ransom, Madam Speaker. For example, the people of Banisa in Wajir County, Madam Speaker, have not had an elected member of parliament after the death of their MP up to today, even in Tana River, Madam Speaker. An MCA, we have lost even, I think, in Kakamega, an MCA, we still have, Madam Speaker, a number of wards and constituencies that do not have elected leaders. And this, Madam Speaker, under the Constitution, it is under the Constitution, Madam Speaker, it is denying them the right to representation. Madam Speaker, can you protect me from the Senator of Nakuru who is giggling?
Senator Tabitha, can you just slow down the pace of that excitement?
Madam Speaker,
Senator Boni Halwale,
I don't know
in
what...
the interest of Senate proceedings that you resume your seat. Go back to your official seat.
Madam Speaker,
Senator Boni Halwale.
Madam Speaker, if you listen how Senator of Nakuru is giggling and the history of Senator Boni Halwale, you can imagine. And you know he has a track record of finding a special heart in women. So, Madam Speaker, let me start with the issue of audit under the introduction of clause number 24A. Madam Speaker, I agree, because we have been doing this. Let us audit an election after an election, but audit with a view of improving, Madam Speaker. And it shall be published and the report be submitted to Parliament through the jailer committees that we have. I think this is very important so that we know. And I know there have been arguments, let us open the server, to Fungue server. Some we were told it is in France. Others we were told there is Jose Harmaco. I'm sick, so that we put those stories and others of Abunwasi to an end, of servers in France or Jose Harmaco is in somewhere, Madam Speaker. I think let us audit, and when the Parliament has considered the report, Madam Speaker, let it be made public. And I think I agree with this, Madam Speaker. This is also in the spirit of IPPG agreement of 1997, where all participants would come to the same place, Madam Speaker. Number two, Madam Speaker, on the limitation of electoral units. Madam Speaker, you know there are over 40 constituencies that are called protected, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, over these 40 constituencies, my colleague mentioned a number of them. One of them is Amisi, another is in Bura. I think one is in Vihiga. I don't know whether it's Vihiga constituency, Bura, and Kalole. Madam Speaker, over 40 are protected constituencies, Madam Speaker. And it is across the country, from what we call populous regions to non-populous regions, Madam Speaker. And you know, according to a population quota, a constituency that is defined as protected did not meet a threshold of 164,015 population as per 2019 census. I know the census of 2019 many people do not agree with. But at the end of the day, I agree with my brother who said in the morning that the population determines a lot of issues. Apart from voting, it determines allocation of resources. You have had a conversation of the revenue formula, Madam Speaker. We have just concluded the mediation version of the bill that came, the mediation version, where, Madam Speaker, the Senate and the National Assembly are mediated on 400 billion as opposed to 415 billion. I don't know who gave them the permission because we had mediated for 415 billion, but that is a story we'll write in our books, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, on a lighter note, I saw COG saying they have negotiated. I don't know where governors are in negotiations and appropriation of budget, Madam Speaker. The same energy and machismo, Madam Speaker, the governors are saying they have negotiated for 400 billion plus. We are not seeing even where that money we are sending is going, Madam Speaker. We must see development. Because when you talk about electoral units, you talk about population. You are talking about votes, you are talking about resource allocation, Madam Speaker. And that is why, Madam Speaker, it is always a big problem that we want to do, Madam Speaker.
Senator Cherargei, would you wish to be informed
on revenue formula?
Methu.
On revenue formula?
Nyandarua County. Whatever it is that he wants to inform
if it is about revenue formula, I would be cautiously seeking his information. But he can inform me.
Senator Methu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Just for the benefit of my Vice Chair, registrator that is very respected in this House, when he speaks about what governors have been saying, some governors or the Council of Governors was saying that they have negotiated. And so sadly then, we even saw some of them thank the National Assembly for being magnanimous in ensuring that they get more money. They should be arrived at the fact that the National Assembly had proposed and had passed that they get only 391. The only people who have proven that they are supporting and pushing more money to devolution is the Senate. It's not IBEC, it's not the National Assembly, it's not anybody else, it's not even the National Treasury. It is only the Senate that passed and fought and sought to have more money pushed to the counties, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Methu. Senator Cherargei.
Madam Speaker, as the Bible says, as Jesus Christ grew in stature and wisdom, I am impressed and I'm always surprised with the wisdom of the young senator as he grows in this House, Madam Speaker. And I'm happy that the information he has given is very up to the point, Madam Speaker. So I wouldn't add anything because I find it useful and Solomonic. But what we are demanding, Madam Speaker, because we are discussing about population, let the value of money of you and me, we want when we go to Muranga, we see the value of the money that we gave to the governor and county government. Same to Nandi, same to Kitui. I know Kitui, the senator has been really struggling to ensure the people of Canton Zweni, Kitui, all those places, Madam Speaker, get value for the money that they get, Madam Speaker, and we wish him well in his quest to become the governor, and I'm happy he's in good books with his party leader. Madam Speaker, number two, the issue, another challenge, what I see with this bill, is where National Assembly has become selfish. Everything they wanted to do, they have just indicated National Assembly. The issue of electoral units, wards, are in counties. Constituencies are in counties. So when they want to exclude the Senate, when they are doing these processes, Madam Speaker, it's very unfortunate. And in fact, they say, the new clause 24B, they have said, the National Assembly shall, within 14 days of tabling of the report, revise preliminary report, consider the report and forward its recommendation to the Commission. Where is the role of, under Article 93, Madam Speaker, Parliament has been defined as both the Senate and the National Assembly. So why would you be, and you know, I want to agree with Senator Methu. It is the biggest threat to the progress of Parliament and the Republic of Kenya is National Assembly. Because if they are not undermining devolution, they want to dislegitimate the Senate. The other day, and governors must get this right, it is National Assembly who proposed 391 billion. It is Senate who said, let's give 415 billion. In fact, it is us who have pushed National Assembly and the mediated teams that went there to 400 billion, Madam Speaker. So when it comes also to legislation, they want to legislate the Senate out. But we are telling them that we are going nowhere. In fact, Madam Speaker, if today you are due census, there was a guy called Steadman, opinion poll, who used to put the party leader of my brother, Bishop Wambua, as the top. I don't know where that gentleman went. If you are to do Steadman opinion poll today, and to say, can you scrap National Assembly or the Senate? Kenyans will scrap National Assembly because they are continue to embarrass all of us in Parliament, Madam Speaker. And therefore, we cannot allow them to legislate us out of our work that we are elected under the Constitution, Madam Speaker. Number 4, Madam Speaker, on the issue of selection of panel. So, Madam Speaker, on the issue of protected constituencies, I expected a NADCO. And that is why I want to thank Senator Wambua, because at least he appeared before NADCO. Myself, I was denied to appear before NADCO, because I wanted to tell the NADCO to ensure the 40 constituencies, including ones in Vihiga County, must be protected. What happens if we pass the law? Where will the 40 constituencies go? I know Senator Mungatana has a protected constituency in these counties. I know in Northeastern, Madam Speaker. Where is the NADCO? And I wanted to be NADCO members in the House. Unfortunately, I can't see some of them. Where is the 40, who is the NADCO member? No, he was in the other one, before the real boys went in. Yeah, before the real boys went in. Madam Speaker, by partisan, Madam Speaker. The 40 protected constituencies in NADCO report, and you are a senior lawyer in this country. If we pass this bill, and that is why we must amend, what is the fate of 40 constituencies that have a right to be represented, Madam Speaker? People are grappling for more counties, like Kuria, Migori, they want a county. You go to Bungoma, they want a county. You go to Kitui, they want another county. If we are going to scrap off 40 protected constituencies, it will be unfair, and we want to tell the NADCO, the people who did this report, that they did a lot of disservice to this country. And I don't fear to contradict myself, Madam Speaker. You know me very well. You know me, Madam Speaker. And you saw me over the weekend. You know me very well. Madam Speaker, the one on the selection panel, the one on commissioners, number 5. We have now increased from 7 to 9, the selection panel, Madam Speaker. In this selection panel, I have seen that PSC, I agree with my brother, Senator Utsosi, in the morning about the PSC. Madam Speaker, we are being selfish, because you are saying PSC itself does not even have capacity to run parliament. How can they be part of giving people to be part of selection panel, Madam Speaker? How can they be? They could not even defend our budget. Committees are almost collapsing, Madam Speaker. You are the chair of liaison, lamenting. How can parliament be the house of lamentations? The only lamentation we know is in the Bible. For us who are Christians, Madam Speaker, there is called a book of lamentation. Yani vitabu ya malilio. I don't know what you say in Kiswahili, Madam Speaker. So, maombolesi, let me borrow with your indulgence, Madam Speaker. PSC itself cannot run parliament. How can they have the wisdom to give selection panel? We should allow politicians to do their job. Let us retain on the selection panel, Madam Speaker, be made, Madam Speaker, for example, Madam Speaker, when you go to Bunge Towers, you wait for over 30 minutes to board a lift up to 25th floor. There is no network of your phone, Madam Speaker. Even the integrated security system is porous. If they cannot manage our security system within Parliament, and within even a lift, to manage a lift to go from ground floor to 25th floor where there is no network, what can you tell us, Madam Speaker? So this one, I don't know the wisdom, but I will bring an amendment so that the minority and majority parties, and also because you have sat in decision-making of a ruling political party, also these briefcase parties, they must be stopped. I agree they must be stopped, Madam Speaker. We have over 80 political parties. People are walking around with briefcases. And then when it comes to such serious matters, the parties that you have never known, sisi kwa sisi, wao kwa wao, yule kwa yule party, and they want to give the names, Madam Speaker. We must stop this, Madam Speaker. On the issue of ISPAC, Interreligious Council, I think it is very important, and I agree that it should have the face of Kenya, it should have gender parity, and I'm agreed that the current selection panel, Madam Speaker, should be given a chance. Because, Madam Speaker, if the current selection panel have not violated the law, the work that they have done, because they are using taxpayers' money, the current selection panel must be relooked at, Madam Speaker. On the issue of commission, I have seen it is 5, Madam Speaker, who will form a quorum. I have heard people saying Wafula Chebukati in the previous election was the only one making decisions. I don't believe so, Madam Speaker. I don't believe so, because us who are in Bomas, Wafula Chebukati, Madam Speaker, consulted with other commissioners. Cherargei 4 behaved in bad faith, Madam Speaker. You cannot leave your workstation and go somewhere else and issue a press conference and say, Chair. Even as we have chaired the committee, I'm happy there is the chair of CPIC here, seated here. When the decisions of a committee are made, it is the chair who communicates, Madam Speaker. So I don't want to see people blaming Wafula Chebukati. What we have agreed, and I've seen people saying, if the chairperson, Madam Speaker, in this bill, they have said if the chairperson of IEBC is missing, then it does not stop the business of the committee, of the commission. If somebody had kidnapped Wafula Chebukati, and this law was here, Madam Speaker, and we saw even in some of the interviews, Madam Speaker, what would have happened?
Senator Cherargei, Senator Otsosi would want to give you some information.
No information. Madam Speaker, no information. Please.
My time is spent, Madam Speaker. Continue, Senator.
If Wafula Chebukati had been kidnapped, where will be the Kenya now? We cannot allow this amendment from Azimio cannot fly through our faces. We must amend, Madam Speaker. If the chair is not there, the commission should not function. Finally, on technology, Madam Speaker, we must use technology up to the level we have confidence in it. But with the fact, Madam Speaker,
what is your point of order, Senator Otsosi?
Madam Speaker, I rise on standing order number 105, statement of fact. Senator Cherargei has stated the Azimio amendment. When we know that this bill before us is a product of NADICO, that Azimio was just one of the parties. Is he in order?
Yes. Cherargei, the point of order is in respect on how that bill has been presented and who originated the bill. It originates from the work of NADCO. Do you want to respond to your assertion of the Azimio amendment?
No, Madam Speaker, I can respond to Senator Otsosi in a funeral somewhere in Western in this coming weekend after
Senator Cherargei, we are not in a
deliberations.
funeral in that place that you're imagining. Respond on the floor of this House.
Okay, Madam Speaker, well guided. What I'm saying, Azimio was part of it, so it's still part of the NADCO report. It is just saying Kenya Kwanza, Senator Onyonga said in the morning. So I'm just saying a fact that it already exists in the Standing Order 105. But I can still replace that NADCO stroke Azimio proposal, because Kenyans are aware of the proposals that came from other factors. Madam Speaker, in conclusion on the aspect of technology, let us not overrate technology. I was in Brazil, Madam Speaker. Technology is always but we should be worried about hacking, Madam Speaker. And then number 2, how many places have network in this country? Like Lokitang, somewhere. Like in Namanga, Madam Speaker, is there a network? Like a place like Elwak, in Mandera, Marsabit, there, Madam Speaker, are there networks? So let us be realistic that it can possible to use technology across the nation in terms of election. We should say let us use hybrid, both manual and technology, Madam Speaker, so that we are fair. We don't want to, Madam Speaker, you know every Kenyan has a right to vote. It is a universal suffrage. But if you introduce obstacles like technology, we'll disfranchise many Kenyans not to vote, Madam Speaker. And therefore, on the use of technology, I'm proposing let us use an hybrid system. Where the technology applies, so be it. Where the manual applies, so be it, Madam Speaker, so that we protect the integrity of elections, Madam Speaker. But I hope this will be the last amendment on election laws. We have amended, Madam Speaker, these election laws until it has lost value, Madam Speaker. We don't know even the origin of the first law in 2011, after the promulgation of Constitution of 2010. Madam Speaker, I will only support this amendment with an amendment. But as it is, I reject. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Cherargei. Honorable Senators, before we proceed on to the next senator to contribute to this debate,